Hi. Each year, River City Habitat for Humanity participates in Habitat for Humanity's International Women Build Week, created in partnership with Lowe, to highlight the global need for women's access to safe and affordable housing. I'm Julie. This is Lynn. We both volunteer with River City Habitat for Humanity in our second year, helping to build habitat homes here in Jefferson City. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual Women Build with Power Tools video, as we demonstrate to build a planter box made with recycled pallets. So this is where we're going. In the end, once we have torn apart these pallets, which are virtually free and available everywhere, we have salvaged as much lumber as we can out of these to build this planter box.
And we're going to show you some of our favorite power tools that we've used in the construction process today, in hopes that you folks will enjoy doing a project like this at home. The first thing to know if you're going to use any power tools is that you need appropriate safety devices. First of all, hearing protection and something to cover and protect your eyes. Well, I'm not going to wear the plastic ones because I have the permanent ones. I'm going to put my ears on. This is one of my favorite tools. It is a 3-inch circular saw. It does the same job that the man's big circular saw will do, but it does it gently and a little bit a smaller size that's easier for a woman to hold on to. There is a protective platform here that hides your blade when you're not using it. You pinch to lift it to expose the blade. Now we have already marked our pallet to cut a piece of wood here, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. You remove your slide, place your saw tip near the wood, but do not engage the blade until you've turned it on. So squeeze, turn it on, now come through it. Push all the way through until you feel it keeps cutting. We can do the same on the other side. You be sure you keep your second hand on the blade guide or on the handle, never out in front of the saw.
So once we've cut all of our boards out of the pallet, for this particular project, we salvaged 25 boards, coupled with 2x2 brackets to support the planter. Once we've salvaged all the boards, we use what is called an orbital sander or palm sander. Sandpapers for it come in a variety of coarseness to achieve. This is pallets when you get them are pretty coarse, pretty roughed up. So you would go with a low number sandpaper that's a pretty rough edge that's going to sand it down quite a bit. When you work with lumber and you want to get to the fine sanding, you would go to a high number, like a 220 sandpaper that's going to give it a really smooth surface. So with palm sander, we've sanded down the side and flat surface of each of these boards.
Nice and very pretty. Well, correct. Pretty in a rough cut sort of a way.
And in any sanding project, you would always want to go with the grain, whether it's hand sandpaper on a block or with a palm sander, a belt sander. You would always go with the grain on the wood. So now we're ready for assembly.
Because we are a little short on time for this video, we have pre-assembled part of our project. This is the first two sides. And what we have done essentially is to lay out several boards. In this case, there are 5 boards to give the height that we want. Our finished dimensions were 13.5 by 18.5.
Correct.
Which is a good size to receive a potted plant. So we are 5 boards tall, and we have used a piece of 2x2 cedar on each side to make a block to screw into to give us additional stability. So the first side that we have created, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 laid out just the way we want them. We will use our square We square those up, make sure that we get our support on, and then we're going to drill and screw. So we'll show you the process to do that. We've cut our support legs just a little longer than what the boards are, so we'll have a small foot at the bottom to hold this.
So in lining up your project, your first board obviously is very key. These are going to be your tops. They're going to sit flush. And you're going to use, we've cut 2 little brackets to give us the edge.
Just cut them from a piece of our pallet wood.
To give us the edge so that when we put our cross boards on, they're going to meet rather than overlap.
This is how they meet. And you'll see that you need a little space to hang over so that they will interlock.
And if we use the square, as Lynn said, and use these little guides, that's going to give us exactly the room we need to come in and put those boards on the side to make it a clean fit.
I'm going to get those on there just right.
So once you're set, you can also clamp this. If you're working by yourself, you can use just a small table clamp or a small clamp that will clamp all these pieces together so that when you start to drill, your boards don't move.
When you drill, you hold your drill straight up and down, go straight in, straight back out.
Always.
And remember that you can't bend the drill bit.
Right.
So
They are
you will
solid.
break it.
So for each board, we put 2 screws in for that stability. And then you repeat the same process down both sides. Once you're squared up on the other side, repeat the same process.
Yes.
And then you're ready to come in with your screws. These are 1/4 and 1 inch or 1.25 inch deck screws for exterior work. As you can see, they also match our pallet wood. We've pre-drilled each side.
This is where Amy will be.
I recommend you do the same. Once you assemble each side, then you can put the whole piece together. You can see once you get through the initial assembling of the products, the pallet wood, all of your tools, and kind of get your plan, this part goes very, very quickly. Also something that can be either used in its original form. It can also be whitewashed. It can be stained to match any kind of exterior.
You're doing great though.
They are super versatile. It's amazing what all you can really do with pallet wood. You can do things. On the inside, you can do coffee racks, coffee mug racks, you can make furniture.
All right.
And like that.
So there we've got the
other
supported
side.
wall. Let me give you that.
And then because we left that edge, it's going to fit right together
Like so.
with our last 2 pieces.
Okay. So let's take it over. And we'll join these 2 sides.
Sure, when you're doing corners like this, since these already have a screw in, you got to make sure that this screw doesn't, that they don't meet because they are long enough. That would apply to any kind of furniture you might build. These power screwdrivers have obviously quite a lot of power, so they will bend the screws, break the screws.
We pre-drill the holes here so that we don't split out the wood. You try to just screw the screws in without drilling. Many times the edges will split. So there's our third side on. Fourth side is the same.
Again, because of how we left those edges, these have been pre-drilled. It just fits right into place.
It helps to have two people with 4 hands.
For aesthetic purposes, I try to keep these screws in a line since they do show from the exterior. And any of these projects are nothing to be afraid of. They can be what you want to make them. Power tools are nothing to be afraid of. They are to be respected, but they can facilitate all of your projects pretty handily. They come in many shapes and sizes.
And we've discovered you learn as you go.
Absolutely. Last thing you're going to do is put the braces that you're going to have to screw in a flush bottom. We've made it to match the wood on this one. We'll make this one the same. So we've pre-cut these brackets that are going to fit inside your braces.
We haven't. This one we need to mark. Yes, we've already put one in. You can see, and we'll show you again the use of the saw and a little different saw for this one. Saw or a jigsaw, and it is a particularly versatile kind of a saw because it not only can cut straight, but it also can cut curves, whereas your circular saw can only cut straight. So what we need to do here, take our pencil and mark the length that we're going to use our 2x2 for our base support, and we'll do that just by putting it in place and marking where we want it to go to. So I'm going to use a small clamp and clamp this to the table. That fits right in where we want it to be, and all we have to do is again use our little spacer. This tells us how deep it needs to be. Turn it around to you, Julie, and you can drill and put the screws in.
In a straight line for aesthetics.
Now, we have an issue with our broad flat boards because we have feet sticking out. So what do? We need to take our board, measure the corner, draw around that little foot, and we'll cut it with our saber saw so that it looks like this and it will fit right in. Okay? Again, use the saber saw, use a clamp, marking that one.
drill these into the brackets on the bottom. That'll be our anchor.
Okay. Now you can see that the space that's left needs a little bit more than one board. So what we've done is we've taken 2 boards here and we've marked them to split the difference. One of them's already cut, and then we're going to take our small circular saw and cut the other one for you.
These little saws are amazing. Lynn's actually the one that turned me onto it. In lieu of using a big saw, that thing is so handy for a project like this.
Now we can go on and drill it and screw it right in. One thing you learn with home remodeling projects and other wood type projects is to just modify and go on.
And without much ado, you have a
I
planter.
have a planter.
And from here, it can be, as I said, it can be stained, it can be whitewashed. You can set a planter inside it and just mulch over the top. These are treated. This can be treated, but then the whole project can be stained, or you can line it with a thick trash bag. Just staple to the inside and cut holes in the bottom.
Fill it with potting soil and put your tomato in there.
There you go.
So.
We hope you've enjoyed today's video. Hope it inspires you to grab a power tool and join us next time.
Yes.